Let's be honest. How many games have you started but never finished? You know, the ones collecting dust on your shelf, or maybe virtual dust in the back of your console storage, still waiting for their epic endings. If you're a gamer, chances are you've got a backlog of abandoned games longer than the credits of a 100-hour RPG. But why do we struggle to finish games before starting new ones? What's really going on? And more importantly, how can you finally break the cycle? In today's video, we're diving deep into the psychology of gaming, uncovering why this happens, and sharing some practical tips to help you finish more games and actually enjoy them. Let's get into it. First, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. You're not alone in this. In fact, if you're someone who even semi-regularly finishes games, you would be in the very small minority. When I was looking for stats on this, I was shocked to find many studies reporting only 10 to 20% of people finish the majority of their games, according to console and Steam achievements, as well as surveys. That's honestly crazy. At first, when I was reading this, I said to myself, no way this would be me. I can't imagine paying for a game, especially a new $60 to $70 game at that, and not even finishing it and getting my money's worth. And as I say that, I sit here with a backlog of almost 30 to 40 games that I have written in my notes app on my phone, many of which were new games that I did buy at full price, and have either never started or failed to get very far into. So yeah, safe to say, I think everybody has ran into this issue at least once or twice. But again, why does this happen? Well, there's quite a number of reasons. So let's break down some of the most common surface level reasons that gamers give for not finishing their games before we get to the mental and psychological reasons. The first reason is that there are just too many choices. With so many games dropping every month, we live in a time of gaming abundance. There's always something newer, shinier, and more exciting on the horizon. Sure, I still need to beat GTA 4 for the first time, but GTA 5 just sounds so fun right now. And GTA Vice City was a blast last time I played it. Now, don't worry. If this sounds like you, I'm not saying to go get rid of all your games to limit choices. No, we'll actually talk solutions at the very end, so stay tuned. The second reason is time constraints. Many gamers balance jobs, school, or family life, leaving little time to fully commit to a 50+ hour game or longer. Red Dead and Red Dead 2 sure look and sound like fun games to me. I'd love to beat them. But when I work a day job, edit for clients, and create for this channel, plus, try to make sure I get plenty of time with the wife and the pets and family and friends, then the time for gaming is usually reserved for the things that I know I will have time for, or the things that I have a little more of an itch for. The third reason is burnout or frustration. Sometimes when a game gets too hard, repetitive, or starts to feel like a chore, it feels as if it's easier to quit than just push through. I can't tell you how many times I did this in Dark Souls 3, especially with that stupid Fallen King boss, although I did eventually beat him. In fact, that's why I still haven't beat the first Dark Souls, because I got stuck on the twin gargoyle fight. I know, I need to just get good. But it's not just difficulty. Sometimes even games that look, sound, and play great just don't grab me emotionally or mentally. I tried playing the new Astrobot game on PS5 because I love the Astro's Playroom demo, but the game just didn't stimulate me enough. There was nothing necessarily wrong with the game, like I said, it sounded good, the game played well, it showed you how to use the DualSense controller, it was amazing. It's just that I realized about halfway through, I had no idea what I was doing or why, I was kind of just playing it to play a game. And it was like I woke up from a trance or a dream. Like I just shut my brain off and was basically playing an autopilot, and not the good kind of autopilot. The last reason is the lure of the new. It's easy to drop an old save file when a hyped up new release hits the shelf. I mean, who can resist FOMO, right? This most recently happened to me when I started my latest Sonic craze a couple months ago. I wanted to play as many games as I can before Sonic 3 comes out, and I was in the middle of the Sonic Adventure games and Sonic Frontiers, so my time was already stretched across a couple of games. But then Sonic and Shadow Generations hit the shelves, and well, I'll let you guess which one I played more of. Do any of these sound familiar? Maybe you relate with one, multiple, or even all of these reasons. And that's okay. Remember, we've all struggled with it, and I will be giving out tips to break out those bad game abandoning habits. We talked about some surface level reasons why games get left behind, but I think we need to dig a little deeper into some psychological reasons why we tend to leave games behind. For those still not satisfied and looking to a more meaningful reason as to why they can't finish a certain game or games, well, here you go. The answer lies in how our brains are wired. The dopamine trap. Video games are designed to trigger our brain's reward system. When you start a new game, your brain releases dopamine, a feel-good chemical associated with motivation and excitement. Whenever you're in the middle of a fun minigame, admiring a beautiful setting, or getting to create or design your character to look like you or something silly, your brain releases dopamine. But over time, as the novelty wears off and the game becomes routine, that dopamine hit fades. It's harder to impress you, it's harder to surprise you. Maybe you only get a little dopamine after finishing a boss fight, or some long and arduous side quest, and it's not because you enjoyed it, but because you spent hours on it, and you're just glad it's over and you're ready to go on to something else. Eventually, your brain starts craving something fresh. Enter the next new shiny game. The dreaded decision fatigue. Having too many options, like we touched on earlier, whether it's in a game's open world or your gaming library, can overwhelm you. Psychologists call this choice overload, which can lead to paralysis or dissatisfaction with the choices you do make. Sure, having all the choices of what to play can be daunting, but nothing makes me swap games quicker than loading into a large game like Elden Ring when I've forgotten what I was doing. I look at the vast open world, the large map, and I have no idea where to start, and as a result, I don't actually ever start. I love Elden Ring, and it's beautiful, but I've found open world games seem to carry this issue a little more. I know in today's gaming landscape, people don't really care for really linear experiences, but sometimes it's just more relaxing for my mind to have games that line your objectives up real nice and simple for you to not have to worry about. The sunk cost fallacy. Ever felt bad about quitting a game because you've already spent so much time or money on it? Ding ding ding! You've experienced the sunk cost fallacy. Sometimes you feel tied to a game because of time spent or money spent, so you do spend the 80 hours to finish a game, even if you stopped having fun 25 hours in, because you didn't want those 25 hours to be a waste, right? In my opinion, any hours spent not having fun in a game is a waste to me. Doesn't matter if it's 10 hours or 100. Like I mentioned earlier, I gave up on Astro Bot halfway through, and seeing as how it is a shorter game, I probably will have people tell me that, oh, you should have finished it. But if I already wasted 6 hours not having fun, why waste 6 or so more? Ironically, the sunk cost fallacy can lead to avoiding the game altogether because it feels like a heavy obligation rather than a fun experience. Even if you have been looking forward to a game ever since it was announced, you may wait to pick it up or ever play it because you're worried the steep $70 price tag or the supposed 60-hour campaign and side stories will make you never finish it. So again, the journey is never even attempted. And last but not least is just your life context. This one's tough. It's very situational, but your personal life and mindset play a heavy role too. Sometimes we stop playing games not even because of the games themselves, but because of unrelated burnout, stress, or a major life change. This might sound odd, but when you've experienced it, you'll know that it is one of the hardest things to overcome. I have a couple personal examples if you don't mind me sharing real quick. The first was with a game called Earthbound. Earthbound is great. It's awesome. It's this RPG unlike many others, and it's sort of like Undertale before Undertale. In fact, I think it actually inspired Toby Fox to make Undertale. But as much as I respect it, I've never beaten it. I first tried playing it my junior year of high school and was really having fun. But while I was playing it, I was kind of preparing to ask this girl to one of our school dances, which I never would have done prior. I was the kid much happier to spend my after school hours playing video games. But my friends insisted I get a social life. Long story short, she said no. And it was the first time I'd gotten excited about something and then had to be rejected. Plus, being that it was in front of schoolmates made it all the more embarrassing. It might sound silly, and I am starting to move on from this one, but every time I boot up Earthbound, I'd still kind of get reminded of it. Not of the girl, I ended up dodging a bullet there, but of the awkward feeling and looking on everyone's faces, the dread of going home and having to kind of break that news to my parents. It wasn't fun. The other example is more recent and more intense to me. It was early 2022, and life just straight up sucked for me. I had just gotten engaged to my wife, and that was awesome. but that was the only thing going right for me. I had just got laid off from my job right after getting engaged. I had no longer qualified for most of my scholarships in college because the COVID year wrecked me online. I struggled massively and thus had to drop out since I couldn't afford school out of pocket. The cherry on top was that because of COVID, my grandparents are going through a health scare at the time where I couldn't even go see them for weeks because they had to isolate at home. Now normally video games are my escape, but Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was my game of choice during this season. And although, like Earthbound, I do think it is a good game, and unlike Earthbound, I did finish Fallen Order, I have no intention of revisiting it, even though I'm only a couple trophies away from the platinum. I've thought about going back for those trophies, and I have reinstalled the game to try it, but every time I load it up, I can't unassociate the game with those key memories. So sorry for that rant, but I did want to underline this reason specifically, as I do think it's the hardest to overcome for most gamers. Understanding these factors is key to breaking the cycle. Luckily, there are multiple strategies to overcoming these hurdles and knocking out that dreaded backlog. Now that we understand the problem, let's explore some strategies to help you finish more games without turning gaming into a chore. Pick your battles. Focus on 1 or 2 games at a time. It might be tempting to juggle 5, and even if you've done it in the past, let's be honest, how much do you remember about those games, and did you really enjoy them all? Narrowing your focus makes it easier to stay engaged and finish what you start. It's up to you what your balance is, but maybe you want to just do 1 game at a time to put all your energy and focus into. Or maybe you like playing 2 games so you can alternate between them every day, and that way you can avoid burnout on just 1 game. I've done both. I recently grinded for the GTA San Andreas Platinum all by itself, then I also switched between the Silent Hill 2 remake and Sonic and Shadow Generations. I played Silent Hill 2 during the day and Generations at night, because no way in the heck was I going to play Silent Hill 2 at night right before bed. No way. Set some gaming goals. Break the game into manageable chunks. For example, aim to complete 1 quest or chapter per session. Small wins can help keep you motivated. If you're like me, the progress bar is fun and addicting to check because you want to know how much you've done that day and how much you have left. But it can backfire if you didn't make as much progress as you thought. That's why setting your own goals and sort of having your own progression bar can help. Don't try to beat Bloodborne in 1 day. Maybe just the first boss or 2, and make sure it's your type of game, which leads us into the next strat. Embrace a 3-hour rule. This can be adjusted depending on your average time to play due to time constraints and how long it takes you personally to enjoy games. But before committing to a new game, I like to give it about 3-hour trial. Depending on who you are, this might sound like a little bit of a long trial or maybe not enough. Some games do take multiple hours to heat up, while others drop you into the action quickly. But I found that the first hour will usually take care of like tutorials and cutscenes, and that gives you about 2 hours to kinda get a feel of what you think about a game. If it doesn't hook you, don't feel guilty about dropping it. In fact, this might be one of the best pieces of advice for gamers out there. If you aren't having fun with a game, stop playing it. There are some games you should quit or abandon. That's what makes the games you do finish more fun and more rewarding. This also prevents your backlog from going with games that you won't even enjoy long term. Try to limit new game purchases. Boy, is this one tough, but it sure helps. Try following this rule I gave myself for here on out. Finish 2 games before buying 1 new one. It's a simple way to stay disciplined and avoid being distracted by the latest releases. You can make exceptions if it's a game you're worried may have limited releases, or let's say you're looking for an older game that might be harder to find in shops. Reframe your mindset. Remember, gaming is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a checklist. Play games you genuinely enjoy, not ones you feel obligated to finish. Sure, it might be fun to play some of the same games as friends, or some of the same games winning awards, or what popular people are playing, but at the end of the day, play what you want to play. The biggest way I've found to have implemented this change is to reshape my opinions of a game before I even touch it. You could even take a chance on using this for games that you wanted to enjoy, but you just couldn't. I did this for Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and Final Fantasy VII Remake. For both, I watched some gameplay on YouTube of people really having fun and enjoying the games. I talked to friends that played and enjoyed the game and listened to them tell about their favorite parts of it. Much like in other areas of life, excitement in games can be contagious, and I found that going in positive and expecting or just wanting to enjoy a game can make it more likely that I actually will enjoy it. You can have fun if you go in sort of skeptical, but it's far less likely because your brain has to do more work to be impressed. Also, please try to stay away from reviews or critics. If you have a YouTuber or a streamer you trust and you're wanting to look into some reviews about a game that you don't know much about, or maybe some indie game that there's not much coverage on, then sure, that's fine. But often, reading reviews can make you project those same feelings onto your playthrough, or you can overanalyze for issues that aren't even really there. Everyone plays differently, so just make your own review of the game. Last but not least, I have a bonus strategy for you. An underrated way to stay with a game and to enjoy it is just to be social about it. No, I don't mean walk out into your balcony with a megaphone and give your 20-page review on Ocarina of Time's Water Temple. I mean, join a gaming community or a Discord. Start a backlog with friends where you play through games together and talk about them, maybe after every chapter or after every boss fight. If you're someone who takes breaks between gaming sessions, or you're just forgetful like me, make a gaming journal or gaming notes on your phone. Heck, if you hate writing or typing like I do voice memos, where you just summarize what you did and what you want to do next time you play. Sometimes it can help you capture those feelings and those emotions that you really only feel in the moment. And later on, a couple weeks later, months even, if you want to come back to the game and you're not feeling the same way, you can use that to recapture those feelings that you had. I like to call my friends at especially inopportune moments to discuss SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, so don't worry, you won't be bothering anyone. Basically, sharing your progress can help keep you motivated to see games through to the end. After all, the goal isn't just to finish more games, but to enjoy the experience of playing them. So, why do we struggle to finish games? Well, it's a mix of psychology, life circumstances, and the sheer abundance of choices in gaming. But with the right mindset and a few practical strategies, you can break the cycle and you can start enjoying your games all the way to the credits. Which of these tips are you excited to try? And what's the last game that you actually finished? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the world of gaming. If you couldn't tell, I'm a big Zelda guy, and if you want to hear which games I believe should get a remake, then click the video on the screen to check it out. Thanks guys.